Yo, welcome back. You're tuned in to the future of Sports Talk Radio. We are Truth Be Told Sports Podcast. It's your boy King Hooli on the mic, and you know the vibes. Well, it's kind of different right now because I don't have my normal guys with me, but I got some really good friends that held your boy down. Decided they was going to jump on the show and come along for the show. So, of course, you know one of them. You've seen his face before. He's my guy over here. I think I'm pointing the right way. I hope I'm pointing the right way. Hey, am I pointing the right way? I'm not sure. I can't see myself on there. But Coach Bo, definitely back in the building. What's up, Coach Bo?
King Hooli, man, great to be here. And, there is absolutely nothing wrong in the world with calling for a pinch hitter at times, as long as he comes through. So
there you go. Hey, man.
Hopefully I'll come through tonight and we'll get a few nuggets of wisdom here and we'll have a little fun and drop a little knowledge on everybody.
Appreciate you, man. Thanks a lot. And this guy, I've worked together with him before. I've been on his show. He's been on Truth Be Told Sports podcast before. It's been a while though. Back again for the first time. It's been a minute. My dog, the Blunt Doctor. What's up, my boy?
Man, it is good to be here. I appreciate it. Although I'm not sure I think of myself as a pinch hitter. I'm more like a backup quarterback. I'm sort of like, a guy with useful information to have around. You want him in the film room, but for the love of God, please don't put him on the field. No. We don't need to do that. I'm like Tim Boyle. Yeah. All right. So, I don't know what we're going to see how this goes. I'm just going to fire and we'll see what happens. There'll be some interceptions, but that's how it's going to be.
Let's go.
Well, I'll tell you, Blunt, the first thing that came to my mind, and this is, I guess I'm showing my age here, was Steve DeBerg, because he played forever in the NFL. He played with every team at least once. And I think he played for the Chiefs twice. I can't remember. It's been a while.
Let's age this podcast right away. I'll tell you what was wrong with the Ford administration. Listen to me. No, I'm just...
Hey, speaking of, man, I do have a game that's gonna kind of like, put you thinking it's gonna be called Guess the Year, and we'll get into it in a minute. But I'm very happy you guys came in. I appreciate you guys. Hey, thank you, Sonia from All Things Football from a lady's perspective. Thank you for checking in. But today on tonight's show, we're going to talk about some Travis Hunter winning the Heisman. We're going to talk about the fallout behind that stuff. There was a little controversy in there. The NBA Cup. You know what I mean? And of course, we're going to talk about college football. That's why we have Coach Bo here. Where's he at? Over here? I don't know where he's at. But of course, we're going to talk some college football. The college football playoff. I think there's a game that's about to kick off pretty soon. I should have it on my TV, but I don't know where my remote control is. But anyway,
you got Notre Dame and Indiana playing in the snow. That ought to be fun.
That'd be fun. That should be really fun. But before we do that, normally this is the point where Harlow Point, I give it over to him, but he's not here. Make sure you follow us on social media, wherever you follow us on Instagram, TikTok, wherever. It's Truth Be Told Sports Podcast. You can follow us. Also, shout out to the ESEN, the Elite Sports and Entertainment Network. I suck at this part. Shout out to those guys. Shout out to the Roku channel up there. Shout out to everybody. Shout out to you guys. Shout out to everybody. I hate doing that part, man. I just like doing the part of the show that I like, that I'm good at. But anyway, we appreciate you guys for tuning in. Make sure you drop a like, share, and subscribe to us on YouTube, and follow us on TikTok, Truth Be Told Sports Podcast. All right, that's it. You can read the bottom if you read the bottom.
Man, we got chyrons and everything. This is.
I'm telling you, man. Hey, listen. I've grown, man, since we last talked.
Yeah, I love it. I'm still one dude in a room with a microphone. I can't quite figure out how to get this sound right. Right. It's a big difference. We're in the big time now. Right. This is Truth Be Told. Let's do this.
All right. Let's start it off, man. Travis Hunter wins the 2024 Heisman Trophy. First ever athlete to do it. What do you guys think about it? How do you feel about it? Coach Bo, talk to me.
Oh, it's interesting. I may have a different take on this than a lot of people. I don't think that Travis Hunter was the best defensive back in the country. I don't think he's the best wide receiver in the country. but I don't know that there is a player more valuable to their team that is so good at so many things. I mean, and not only that, you take his character and the leadership he provides to that team. I mean, the young man plays over 100 snaps every game for all the years that he's been at Colorado. And for him to be able to play through that, stay healthy, and to play at a high level and go from a lower level conference to a Power 5 conference and still produce, I think is quite remarkable.
Yeah, and I would say I agree with the one thing you really said that I agree with is number one is he is not the best defensive back in the country. He is not the best wide receiver in the country. But he is still the best college football player in the country because, again, who else can play 100 snaps? That right there. Just because you're not the best, if you're playing in an A level and you're not an A+, but you're doing that on both sides of the ball, I don't know that anyone can do that in terms of impact. Even what Jonty did, like, incredible as he was. Colorado loses like 4 more games without Travis Hunter. Like, he literally bailed them out in so many critical situations. But, like, the issue I take is not the Heisman, but, like, the individual awards he won. He didn't really – like, he had a good season as a receiver, but he's kind of talked about as if he was Jamar Chase or as if he was Justin Jefferson, and he didn't put up numbers anywhere near that. Right. And so I do think that some of Travis Hunter is a little bit of hype, but I also think if you're in the NFL and you don't want to try to find a way to use this guy on both sides of the ball, you're a moron. I'm not saying he can do what he's done in college and play, 80 snaps a game in the NFL or whatever, but you got to find a way to use this guy because he's a playmaker on both sides of the ball.
On both sides of the ball, which is I guess kind of is not really a rarity because there's a lot of those kids that do it right now, but for him to come out and do that on that level is remarkable. Like we could talk about the numbers. Yeah, of course he probably statistically he wasn't the best receiver in the country. Statistically, he wasn't the best defensive back in the country, but guarantee you want his ass on your team. Guarantee. Yep. And to me, what separated him from a lot of different people, he was elite on both sides. Like, he made impact plays every game on both sides of the ball, and that's why I felt he deserved the Heisman. Because you can, a lot of, and we'll talk about it in a little bit, but the career that Genty had. At Boise State, the season he had, remarkable. We haven't seen it since Barry Sanders, but we haven't seen what Travis Hunter's done ever.
Can I say one thing about that, though? When they're pulling him, when they're up by X points and they're pulling him and they don't let him play in the second half, stuff like that affects this. Like, if winning the Heisman was really important, they should have had him packing on another 500 yards in garbage time. And I'm not saying that that's necessarily a smart thing to do for the future of his career, but I'm just saying when there were many games against opponents where they just pulled him, the dude could have had 3,000 total yards and he would have had a chance at a Heisman then. And I'm just saying, I don't understand. Like, for anyone who's like, oh, it should have, well, they pulled him a bunch of times and they played against inferior opponents. And instead of absolutely stomping those people into the ground and putting up video game stats, they pulled him. You're going to lose when you do that. Like, exactly. There's practicality to the voting. Travis Hunter was on national television catching, game-winning Hail Mary touchdowns, making game-sealing interceptions.
Forced fumble, game-winning forced fumbles on the 1-yard line, doing that type of shit.
Incredible player.
Yeah.
Coach Bo, let me ask you a question, though. I'm curious for you. Where would you put him against McMillan, Teterola McMillan as a wide receiver? I know that U of A had a bad season, so it's not like – but I'm just curious, like, McMillan I just think is a better receiver, and no one talks about it.
Yeah, McMillan is just an absolute pure receiver. He's explosive. He can run the entire route tree. He can catch the ball over the middle of the field. He can catch it down the field. He can catch the screen at the line of scrimmage and take it to the house. Not to say that Travis Hunter can't do that, but I feel like Tet's probably a more complete receiver. And I think that also goes to the fact that he's also only playing on one side of the ball, and he only plays receiver. And therefore, he's concentrating all of his reps and all of his practice reps. And everything he does is on just at receiver on the offensive side of the ball. So, yes, he had a down year, but Arizona was terrible this year. I really thought that was a team, especially Brent Brennan, you know, he won the Mountain West Championship at San Jose State one year. Granted, it was COVID, and then, you know, we kind of look back on that and say, well, maybe that was because of the weirdness of Brennan had that success. I mean, the guy played at UCLA. He played for the Cleveland Browns. He played in the NFL. I mean, he's been around football for a long, long time. He knows football. So this is going to be a big year for that Arizona program. And I just thought with McMillan and the quarterback,
Noah Fafita.
I couldn't remember his name. Fafita, I thought those two, I said, that's a building block for him to as he makes that step from group of five. I'm saying him as Brennan going from group of five to power five, but it just didn't work. I don't know if they just weren't on the same page, if there was a significant drop in the talent level once Jed Fish left and went to Washington. Time will tell.
Yeah, I had to watch the Sun Devils have the season that the Wildcats were supposed to have, and I've been drinking.
I'm sorry, bro. My fault. I didn't mean to laugh at you. Sorry.
That's okay. I need a good laugh at it.
Hey, so going back to this, man, obviously Travis Hunter winning the Heisman is great for himself, but what's this mean for Coach Prime, man? Pete, let me know what you think, bro. What's this mean for his legacy?
He has very clearly legitimized himself as a serious program builder. He did it at Jackson State very quickly. He's done it now at Colorado very quickly. I don't know that it translates to the NFL, because in the NFL, you know, his stardom is less than that of the players he would be coaching. So some of the people saying, oh, trust me, it's the same kind of blunts, brother. Trust me. It's the same kind of blunts.
You know the vibe.
It's the same blunts, baby. Trust me. I don't know that Prime works in the NFL, but I think that he has legitimized himself. I think he's legitimized himself as a real college coach. And, you know, I don't know that he's an X's and O's guy, but he's a program builder. He's a leader. And I think I would love to see him coach an NFL team. I just don't know that that's – I see people saying, oh, he should go with, you know, Shedeur, and someone should draft Shedeur and Travis Hunter, blah, blah, you know. And I don't know that those things are realistic, but I think that – I do think it's possible that another larger college at some point poaches him and it becomes, you know, Prime at, you know, a major SEC school or something. I could see that happening because he's doing it. I mean, in 2 years, Colorado is one of the most illegitimate, no one gives a shit football programs for the last 30 years. In 2 years, he's completely turned it around. That matters.
Yeah. But what you think?
Well, this is the thing I like about Deion. The first season, Deion came in loud, brash. He was prime time. Mm-hmm. This year, a little more quiet, a lot more result. Mm-hmm. And I like that. But I understand the method to his madness, because just like you were saying, Blunt, you know, that was Colorado's been irrelevant. I mean, yeah, they won a national championship in the 90s with was it Bill McCartney as the head coach
against Michigan.
So yeah, they won a national championship back in the 90s, but that's a long time ago, man. And you know, and I almost think that he's sitting there saying, "Hey, we gotta be on the map. We gotta have people." It was like the Lane Kiffin methodology when he was at Tennessee. There's no such thing as bad news. As long as our name's being mentioned, it's good. Then the second year, they concentrated more on results. So they went from 4 wins to 10 wins. And I'm gonna throw this out there, okay? Because I was talking to somebody the other day about this, and I said, you know, there's an NFL franchise, a once great NFL franchise, that has been in the doldrums for the last 20 or so years, that could use a shot in the arm like that, the Dallas Cowboys. Mm. And here's the thing. Deion is not an X and O guy. He's not fixing anything. He's not adjusting anything. He's not scheming. I mean, he may be able to watch film and help guys with technique and this, that, and the other, because, I mean, Deion was a phenomenal player, but he's a culture guy. And what I mean by that is he's a locker room guy. He's a player's guy. And, you know, so much of the NFL is just managing those egos. Look at Mike Tomlin. Mike Tomlin has probably been the best coach at doing that in the NFL in the last 30 years. Andy Reid's another guy like that too, but he's more on the, what I call, you know, you got the gurus and then you got your locker room culture guys. But Dion could come in there, lay that culture down, get the right coordinators, because the coordinators are the ones making all the adjustments. I mean, you saw what happened at Philadelphia. They had that really good coaching staff. They win a Super Bowl. Guys get head jobs, get coordinator jobs elsewhere. They break up. Not so good. So a head coach is only as good as his coordinators. And if Dion surrounds himself with the right coordinators, there's no doubt he can win in the NFL.
All right. What about Shedeur? Do you think he's an NFL quarterback?
I absolutely do. And I would love to see Shedeur with a legitimate offensive line where he's not having to run for his life.
Truth.
Run game so that he doesn't have to throw the ball every single down.
Truth.
I mean, imagine him behind an A offensive line with a solid run game where they could play action pass, and so much of play action passing is about setting the protection. So if they can use that run game and set that protection, and he's sitting back pretty in the pocket, my goodness, there's no telling what he could do.
It reminds me.
So what you're saying is, So what you're saying is he should go to the Giants.
That would be the last place I would want to go if I was him. But the sad reality of it is he's going to go to one of those Cleveland, Jacksonville Giants, and there is a reason why those teams always pick in the front, and the Ravens, Steelers, and Chiefs always pick at the end. So
I'm just saying, though, it reminds me of Deshaun Watson way back in the day. I'm sorry to make the comparison to the evil man, but when Deshaun Watson was drafted, the fact that he didn't go number 1 overall was dumb.
It was outrageous.
It was absolutely ludicrous that he wasn't the number 1 overall pick. The guy scored 40 against Alabama in a national championship game 2 years in a row. Like, what are we talking about here? Like, he was clearly the pick. And the fact that he wasn't number 1 overall was insane. And I just feel the same thing when I see people talking about Shedeur. They're like, well, some people are saying he should be top, 7. I don't understand. Do you watch the man throw the football? Like, that's the thing that drives me crazy. With quarterbacks, I care about 2 things, okay? I've said this on my podcast a million times. I'll say it here. I care about 2 things. I care about how they throw the deep ball, and I care about how they process the defense. That is the only 2 things I care about. Everything else, in my opinion, can be fixed. And when I look at Shedeur, he can do both of those things well. I don't know that he's, already elite at reading, 4 layers of a defensive scheme. I'm sure he's got work to do in that area. But my point is, I have never watched him, and I'm like, oh, my God, this dude is outmatched by this defense. I've never seen that one time. And you will see that with guys who are going to fail in the NFL. And I just think people are missing the boat on this dude, and he should absolutely be number 1 overall. I don't understand how I don't even understand how it's a discussion. And I think it has a lot to do with prime, and that's whatever, people don't like the show, but dude, that dude should be going number 1. And it's crazy to me that there's talk about anyone else.
And hey, Blunt, I'll tell you this, man, as an Alabama fan, I can tell you when Deshaun Watson didn't win that Heisman, I said, oh boy, we're in trouble. I knew, even as good as Alabama was that year and that great defense they had, I said, he's going to be really pissed off. And
those were great games.
I had a bad feeling going into that game, and it was because of that. The first time we played him, I was like, we're going to beat him. And I felt good about it the whole time. But then the second time, I said, he's got the revenge factor. Everybody knows he should have won the Heisman, and he didn't. And so there that went.
2 interceptions of the first quarter in Notre Dame and Indiana, by the way. So it's all defense so far.
Wow, shocking.
Great. I'm glad you brought that up because we were about to jump into our college football playoffs.
I'm a psychic.
The soothsayer you are, you know what I'm saying? All right. Since you brought it up, Indiana's playing Notre Dame right now, 8 p.m. The winner of this game moves on to play Georgia. Well, I don't have my remote. I still haven't found my remote for my TV, so I can't turn my TV on. What's going on in this game?
Indiana's been moving the ball. Notre Dame really hasn't done a whole lot of anything because they basically turned the ball over pretty quickly. They did have a defensive they forced a 3-and-out on the first, but it's 11 minutes. It's 4 minutes in, and literally nothing has happened. Indiana was driving and turned the ball over inside the 5. So there's that. But, this is the game between 2 teams that constantly choke. And someone won't, right? Because
Somebody won
someone
tonight.
has to win. Someone has to win.
Someone has to move on.
And if it's Notre Dame, I'm going to put a screwdriver into my knee and I'm going to hit it with a hammer. So go Indiana. I do think, I will say, I don't know if you talk gambling on this show, but the spread is Indiana +7, and I think they're going to cover that. I think this is a field goal game either way.
Okay, right on. Bo, what you think?
I like Notre Dame in this game. Being at home and you go and look at both of these teams, and a lot of people have tried to poke a lot of holes in Indiana's resume with good reason. They played two really legitimate defenses. Michigan, Ohio State. They didn't gain 400 total yards in those two games. While Notre Dame has had their issues on offense, defensively they've been pretty solid all year. Also, too, starting quarterback for Notre Dame, Riley Leonard. When I was coaching, we faced him when he played for the Fairhope Pirates.
Oh wow!
And he single-handedly destroyed us. And then we played him in basketball, and he windmill dunked on us in the game. And I was like, this kid is an absolute freak. Oh
wow.
Yeah, he is an amazing athlete. And I'm going to tell you I'm going to tell you right now. Maybe not at Duke. It may be that kind of next tier down program. He would get legitimate minutes on a legitimate Division I basketball team. He was that good.
Oh, wow.
I mean, he was like he's a phenomenal athlete, and that night watching him play us in football, man. I mean, it just you're just sitting there going, this kid's this is another level. This is another.
When's this going to be over?
Yeah, and when this is going to be over.
Notre Dame is breaking away for a touchdown.
And by the way, I wanted to just tell you, Blunt, I laid the 7 with Notre Dame, so we'll see how that goes.
Okay,
I'm not enamored at all with Indiana, and I love the Saban factor here. Yes, Kurt Cignetti was on Saban's staff. I follow these guys. I have a lot of appreciation for that. But you watch Indiana, and you watch like I said, the two good defenses they played. They really struggled. The other games, I mean, their strength of schedule was something like 80 or so, and Roar really struggled in those two games. And I don't think by any stretch of the imagination Notre Dame blows them out, because I don't think they're that kind of a team. But I could see this kind of a 20-10, kind of 23-10, kind of grinded out kind of game.
I can see that. I just took Indiana because it would be a cold day in hell before I would ever even
Notre
put
Dame.
5 cents on Notre Dame. I've grown up all over. I moved around a lot, and my allegiances are to the University of Arizona and the University of Michigan. One of those is smart. One of those is less smart. And it is what it is. But yeah, a healthy, strong, real hatred of Notre Dame. It's like to the point that, like, with Notre Dame and New York Jets fans, like, I'm not doing it. I'm like, we're not, this is not happening. So, my thing with Notre Dame is just, and I agree with you. Indiana's strength of schedule is terrible. A lot of their recruiting is dudes who came with him from James Madison. Like, the talent level is good, but not incredible. And the Michigan game was a big proof of that. But then, Michigan beating Ohio did, again, I'll never say their name. They're Ohio to me. That did prove how legitimate the defense was. I do think that it's the same thing with me always for Notre Dame. I'm not going to believe it until I see it. If they go through the playoffs and they go through Georgia, then I'll believe it. But, I've just seen this too many times where a favorable early season ranking and a favorable schedule puts them in a position that they don't deserve. And, if they blow out Indiana today, 7-0 right now, if they blow them out, then we're talking about something different. But I don't see any universe in which Notre Dame gets by Georgia. Like, there's no chance. Like,
well, tell me this, Blunt. Are they wearing the green jerseys?
They are not.
Dang it.
Yeah, then I would know they were going to lose. But
well, and I'm like you, Blunt. I absolutely despise Notre Dame. If there were two football programs that were ever done away with, disbanded, ever given the death penalty, like SMU in the 80s, could never play again, it would be Notre Dame and Tennessee.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I mean, Tennessee's, but I have a lot of respect for what Josh Heupel is doing at Tennessee. We can talk about them in a minute, but I have a lot of respect for what he's doing. And, but that's Alabama's big rival outside of the state. And it's just, for growing up, I mean, that was always such a big game, Tennessee, Alabama.
Yeah. All right. The next game, before we get to that one, we're going to talk about number 11 SMU against number 6 Penn State. That's taken on Saturday, 12 p.m. Eastern time. The winner of this game plays Boise State in the Fiesta Bowl on New Year's Eve. Bo, let me hear from you with this.
Okay, so SMU, their average temperature for all 13 games they played this year was 73 degrees. It's going to be about 20 to 25 degrees at Beaver Stadium on Saturday. People say, oh, that doesn't matter. It does matter. They're a spread space team, and Penn State's a line of scrimmage team. And I just feel like, for the questions that you have about Penn State's offense, I just feel like this is a game just tailor-made for Penn State to just go in there and handle business, turn around, hand the ball off, pound it. Few play action passes, maybe hit a couple plays. And I think SMU is really going to struggle. And one thing I want to say about SMU is it's interesting because, Clemson was not even in the college football playoff till Miami blew a 21-point lead at Syracuse and shat the bed. So SMU plays that same Clemson team that got into the ACC championship game by default. And the argument that people were trying to make is, oh, well, they only lost by 3, but they only lost by 3 to Clemson. They kept it close. Well, SMU went undefeated. They won the regular season, and Clemson got there, by default. They didn't earn their way into it, in my opinion. But yet we're supposed to give them bonus points for only losing by 3 to a team that shouldn't have been there. So you have to understand, too, this is a team last year that was in the group of 5. And I understand they hit the portal. They brought some players in. But I think it was last year. Maybe one of y'all can help me on this. It was either last year or the year before. I cannot remember. But Jennings was the quarterback. They played in the Fenway Bowl or the Bronx Bowl. They played Boston College, and they got they got just hammered at the line of scrimmage. And I can just see Penn State just lining up, just running the ball, just not having to do a whole lot on offense. This will be a James Franklin special. We're going to take care of the football, and we're just going to run it. And I heard an interesting stat the other day. It's like something about when James Franklin is a favorite between 7 and 24 points. I mean, he's covered like 90% of those games. It's outrageous, So, I think Penn State wins this game and wins fairly comfortably.
Yeah, I don't look. This is not just a difference in terms of like talent, but this is a difference in terms of conference talent. Like we're not at a point where all of the conferences have the same level anymore. We know where we are. The SEC is, up there. The Big Ten is up there. The ACC, all right, the Big 12 is restacked a little bit, but we know where the power really, really, truly lies. And so just in terms of talent, I'm sorry, Penn State's a better team. And in terms of weather, it favors Penn State. And I agree completely. I really don't have a lot to add because it's just true. This is tailor-made for Penn State to completely control the situation from beginning to end. And, I understand the argument of, well, if we get into a shootout, then Penn State's not necessarily equipped, but they have to allow that in the first place. And if we were in a dome stadium, that argument makes a lot more sense because it becomes a track meet. But we're in a situation where SMU has to try to force the issue when that is not what they do. And so I don't see how when you're already facing a talent disparity, when you're already facing a situation that is not favoring you, and now you have to force the issue in a way that is not what you do, they're going to have to hit like 4 deep balls to really have a chance in this game. And that's not going to happen. I mean, it's too difficult in this scenario. I just think, unfortunately for them, this one's over. But the thing is, can we just say SMU making the playoff is awesome? Like this idea that like that's a failure for them or something, them making it here is a big deal. And they should be congratulated for that, because this is not a team that anyone would traditionally associate with the playoffs. So good on you, SMU. But this is, dude, I hate Penn State. But come on. We know what it is.
Yeah, exactly. You know what's going to happen.
The big reason
like 40 feet at 20.
Yeah, the only reason I'm glad that SMU is in the postseason is because they got the death penalty in the 80s for doing stuff that the entire Southwest Conference was doing, but yet they were the ones that had to suffer the sins of the entire conference because everybody knew what was going on. And that's a great documentary if you've never seen it, the Pony Express, the 30 for 30.
Oh yeah, that's a good one.
Oh, that's phenomenal. But you know, it is pretty interesting to see a team like SMU get in, and just one side note on SMU, I think they're one of the teams you're going to see, and not just because of this playoff. If they had lost really bad to Clemson and the committee kept them out, I would still say what I'm about to say, because they have billionaires back in that program and they are dumping money into their NIL collective. That program is about to take over football in the ACC. And I'm telling you, those people are still pissed from what went on in the 80s. And they are back, and those checkbooks are out, and they are throwing money again over the table. This time, it's not illegal.
Maybe we can solve income inequality this way, dude. Like, here's the thing. What if NIL actually redistributed wealth from rich dudes to poor kids just because they wanted to pay them to play for their favorite college football team so badly? Like, this might be, we might need like 500 or 600 more college football programs just to keep getting this NIL money going. Because if we can get the money back to the kids in the communities, hey, it's still capitalist. Everybody wins. I'm speaking more kinds of truths here, but whatever. We can we talk about the next game now.
Indeed.
I talk about politics on my show, so I have to stop myself from voiding. Just tell me to shut the fuck up. Oh, do you swear on your show? Whoops, I don't even know.
Of course.
I don't know.
Yeah. All right, number 12, Clemson versus Texas. Number 5, Texas. Saturday, 4 p.m. The winner goes on and plays Arizona State. Pete, I already know what you're gonna say.
Clemson's about to get their asses beat. This is not a thing. Listen, I know that everyone's annoyed with Texas this year because their whole, we're in the SEC now and we're already the top of the SEC, blah, blah. I understand the anger, the rage, whatever. Texas is about to wipe the floor with these motherfuckers. I saw a couple of months ago, there was a meme. It was on X or Twitter or whatever the hell it's called now. And it was a boxer knocking out another boxer, and someone said it was I forgive me, whoever it was, I'm stealing the joke, but he said Kirby Smart and NIL money versus Dabo Swinney and the power of friendship. And this whole thing about Clemson, we don't want to deal with NIL. Well, okay, that's fine. You can be moral high ground. You can do all that. That's phenomenal. Good for you. You're going to lose. You're going to get your asses beat into the ground when it comes to time. And I'm also fine with that, because as annoying as a Texas fan is, a Clemson fan is 10 times worse. And so this is not a game, but just in terms of talent, like, let's be real. Texas has 2 quarterbacks that are better than anyone on Clemson's roster. And this is just not, this is not, again, the one thing about expanding the college football playoff is that the first round is going to feature one team that's about to stomp the shit out of another team. And maybe the talent will continue to spread as NIL goes and things will get a little bit more, who knows. But what we know right now is that one team is about to stomp another team, and that is Texas is going to stomp Clemson.
And you're all over it there, Blunt. I love it, man. I tell you, I was talking to somebody the other day about this game, and I said, Clemson reminds me of a scene in Mission Impossible where Tom Cruise is hanging onto the side of the ledge with one hand, and those fingertips are just slipping.
You are speaking my language right now. Oh my God, I love this. I'm literally wearing a Mission Impossible shirt right now.
That's great.
Oh my God,
That's
these guys just became best friends on my show.
Custom Mission Impossible shirt. I love it. I'm sorry. Continue.
And eventually, he's about to fall, and you are seeing the last gasp, whatever you want to call it, from this Clemson program.
Yeah.
This is the last ride right here, and the reason I say that is not even because of that they're going to get absolutely smashed in this game, and I think you're going to see more Arch Manning in this game for Texas. But look at the recruiting. They finished 4th in the early signing period. They only signed, I think it was 14 players early. And Florida State out-recruited them. It was Florida State, Georgia Tech, and Miami finished ahead by a lot than Clemson. And so you look at that fact. You look at the fact they don't want to dabble in the portal. They don't want to go into NIL, and I just don't see that being sustainable. I don't care if you like the system or not. The system is the system, and if you want to keep up, you got to go along with it. You got to figure out some kind of a system that fits you and your university that maximizes the talent that you could not only obtain and keep. And I also brought a few statistics because I was looking at Cade Klubnik today, and I saw on ESPN they posted an article about Texas having to deal with Clemson's elite passing game. So I instantly rolled my eyes, cussed under my breath, and I started digging into the statistics. First of all, Clemson, the best team they played in the conference was 5th place Louisville. The top 3 teams in the conference did not play each other. Miami played Syracuse, and they had the big 21-point debacle, and they lost. But the best team that Clemson played in the conference was the 5th place Louisville team. They played them at home at night off a bye and got waxed. Okay? They played the 3 worst teams in the conference. They played the 5th team from the bottom, and then they played 11th place NC State, 8th place Virginia Tech, 10th place Pittsburgh, and they also played Stanford, Florida State, Virginia, and Wake Forest. That's one of the worst schedules I have ever heard in my life. I mean, they totally avoided almost anybody that was halfway worth a darn in that conference. But
they played Diego Pavia, though.
There you go. All right, so in the first 6 games where they played, they played bowl teams. They played App State, Stanford, Florida State, Virginia, Wake Forest, and the Citadel, not to be confused with Citadel, the Citadel. Klubnik threw for 1,683 yards, 20 touchdowns, 2 picks. Solid, very solid. Now, so he plays the bowl teams, Georgia, NC State, Louisville, Virginia Tech, Pitt, and USC. 1,358 yards, 9 touchdowns, 3 picks. Not bad. I mean, that's still pretty good numbers. Okay, now, let's take a little bit deeper dive. They also played Georgia, South Carolina. 2 teams that are pretty close to the skill level, talent level of Texas. Georgia right there on par with them. In those 2 games, he threw for 400 yards, no touchdowns, 2 picks. So you want to tell me that he's going to go up against a Texas team on the road in a true road game in Austin with all those NFL guys that Texas has. By the way, Phil Moffa's not going to be able to run the football. And Cade Klubnik is going to go in there and win that game. Not a chance.
Someone's going to have to get Austin's police department on speed dial because
I mean, this is one of those things where literally the only chance that Clemson would have would be in a scenario in which Texas's running backs and wide receivers fumble 3 times early in the game. And they get, 3 quick touchdowns and they're, suddenly up 21. It would require
the SMU game.
Right. Some sort of crazy confluence of events that's not an example of the game. And even then, dude, in college, shit, I remember one of my favorite games I ever watched was it was the Texas A&M UCLA game a few years ago when Josh Rosen was at UCLA. When Texas A&M was up 44-10, and I was in Laughlin watching this game because I had bet UCLA -3.5, and I was like, well, that was a waste of my money. And then Josh Rosen leaves 5 straight touchdown drives and wins by 1 point so that I don't cover, but I still had to watch. So I was like, well, that was interesting. So it would take, again, the level of events are, it's 28-3 Patriots. It's, the 0-3 Red Sox in the ALCS. It's, it's something that's.
Don't bring that up. Let's not talk about that.
Oh, that's right. We'll get to that later. Okay.
I'm not talking about that.
It's not happening. So anyway, next game. Let's move it.
Okay, let's go. Let's go. All right. Tennessee, Ohio State. 8 p.m. They get the prime time Saturday. The winner goes on to play Oregon in the Rose Bowl on January 1st, New Year's Day.
Look, here's the one thing I want to say about this game. I'm just diving in right now because I hate this team and I'm just saying it. No, but for real, I think the one thing about Tennessee is that Ohio has not played a team that is willing to gun the ball down the field in the way that they have been. Now, this season, that has not gone in the way that they might have thought, and a lot of times has not been as effective. But I just think, Ohio's entire game plan against Michigan was predicated on stopping the run, and they couldn't do it. And I can see a scenario in which I think that Ohio has a more talented team, but I can see a scenario in which they are not prepared for the way that Tennessee wants to play. And I would love more than anything. I'm sorry, Bo. I understand why you hate Tennessee. I really do. I would give anything for Tennessee to win this game because then Ryan Day would be fired, and that would be so funny. And that's like what I want more than anything. I want Ohio fans to have a really bad day, and I think that there is opportunity for that to happen here. If I was gambling, I probably wouldn't bet on Tennessee, but I still see the outcome. I still see the possibility. So I'm hoping. Okay. But my God, I hate that team in the red.
I understand.
Hatred.
We go from one side of hate to the other side. Coach Bo.
Yeah, well, I'm going to absolutely blow your minds. I took Tennessee plus 7.5 with a sprinkle on the money line. I think this is your upset in the first round. And,
I love it.
And I also think, it pains me to say, Tennessee is my sneaky team to win the national championship. And the reason being is because they can control both lines of scrimmage. They can run the football and run the football with power. Everybody talks about Genty. Go look at Dylan Sampson's statistics and then look at the schedule that Sampson played and who he played against and what he did against marquee teams. Tennessee, in my opinion, they are so good on both lines of scrimmage. They can hit the big plays on. The question is, can Nico deliver those big plays? But they can run the ball, they can control the game, and they can quick strike you too. And they have a very good defense. And I know a lot of people say, well, against Georgia, against Georgia, the SEC champion. I mean, Georgia gained 50 yards of offense at halftime and was down 6-3 to Texas. And Kirby's going, we got them right where we want them, boys. Oh yeah, and the backups in. We got it. That's a culture. That's what I call a culture win. Those guys know how to win those games. They've played in those games so many big times. Georgia's on another level. And, Tennessee, in my opinion, is one of those teams that they're so close. I mean, they really are. I mean, you look at their schedule, you look who they played, you look how they play, and some people, there's always detractors and haters and whatever, but well, they only beat this team by so-and-so and so-and-so. Well, they only beat Kentucky by 10 or 12. Well, you know what? I understand Kentucky only won one SEC game this year. They probably have 10 or 12 guys that are going to play in the NFL on that team.
Right.
I mean, it's not like they're playing a bunch of scrubs here. So, but good. Tennessee, I think Tennessee can can really cause problems for Ohio State in this game, especially with the left tackle and the center being out for Ohio State. People don't understand how big that is. I don't care who's catching the football. I don't care who's throwing it. If you can't win the line of scrimmage, and Tennessee can control both fronts on both sides of the ball. And if they can do that, hit a couple plays, it's a wrap.
I love when I make a prediction and someone else agrees, and I'm like, yes, that was correct.
And it's hard for me to do that. Understand how hard it is for me to side with Tennessee here. But I just call it like I see it.
There it is. Well, now now I know to respect it. There it is.
Hey, let's play a game real quick. Let's play a game. And it's gonna be called Guess the Year. All right. So how this game is gonna work, I'm gonna name 3 athletes, and they have something in common. And this theme, they were MVPs. All right. So you tell me what year I'm referring to. All right. Michael Jordan, Ken Griffey Jr., Brett Favre.
They were all MVP the same year, you're saying?
Same year.
1997.
Bo?
I was going to say 95.
95.
I think that's off because I think the Packers won the Super Bowl in 97, didn't they? Wasn't that the Howard punt return against the Patriots?
Yes, indeed.
Yes, it was.
First thing that popped in my head was 95, so I'll stay with it.
95. The answer, 1990.
All right, well, we bracketed it, though. So
you got sandwiched. You Eiffel Towered it.
The field goal is good. It was in between.
That's right.
You Eiffel Towered it. All right. Let me see. Let me go to my scroll back up. Let's see. Here it is. Tom Brady, Josh Hamilton, Lauren Jackson.
09.
Tom Brady, obviously the Major League Baseball. Josh Hamilton, NFL, and Lauren Jackson is clearly. I'm just kidding.
No, Manning won it in 09 because that was the year the Saints won the Super Bowl. Let me go
2007.
I was actually going to say 12.
2012.
Well, I'll stay with 12.
12. Answer 2010.
Man, we know how to swarm it though. You're closer on that one.
And I even said 2009. No, wait, 2012. Still in the middle again.
Well, but you're still closer though. I feel like you're leading if we're going by like Price is Right rules here.
I feel like you guys are gonna get this one. All right, where we at? Kobe Bryant, Dustin Pedroia, spit on that name, and Peyton Manning.
2009.
2009. Damn it, guys. 2008.
Oh, I was about to say 2008, and then I said 9 because I was. But it was MLB 09. Oh my god, I was about to.
I said 9 because I just said it because the Saints won the Super Bowl that year. But
I'm the Red Sox fan.
Yeah.
I'm a Red Sox fan.
The Saints won the Super Bowl that year, but Manning was the MVP.
I hate myself.
Yeah.
Everybody knows Breeze should have been the MVP that year. But
no, literally the reason I was going to say 2008, and then I was like, no, it was MLB 09. But that's the following year, dumbass.
Yeah. Good game, guys, man. I appreciate you playing that. That was pretty cool.
I'm very upset right now. I lost.
That's all good, man.
No, it's not. I'm very upset. I'm angry. I'm going to cry.
You know who just won, but they're not acting like they won? The Milwaukee Bucks. They won the 2024 NBA Cup.
Oh, hey,
that was annoying.
Update: Notre Dame's about to score. They're down on the
14
5-yard line.
They just scored. It's 13.
They just scored.
I think that one might be over.
I hope. It's early. It's early.
Yeah,
it's still 12:52.
It's early, but we've seen Indiana's offense really sputter when they've played against those good defenses. So I'd like to see them make a game out of it because my prediction is that, like I said, Tennessee is the one upset. The other three are snooze fests. But hope I'm wrong. I hope all these games are great. No, I do seriously, and I'm not saying that.
That sounds very sarcastic.
No, I'm not. I'm not saying that as an angry Alabama fan because I'm not. I was not angry about that. I mean, we can have that discussion, but not even from an Alabama perspective. I mean,
we'll talk about it next week.
Okay.
We'll talk about it next week. We'll talk about.
I think it was incredibly annoying that the Bucks didn't celebrate winning the NBA Cup. I think that was obnoxious. Number one, the league has put this thing in place as something to draw ratings. The group stage games have been awesome because teams care about the point differential because it matters if they can make it into the next round.
Right.
I think it was lame that the Bucks didn't celebrate it. I understand their whole we're trying to win a championship, blah, blah, blah. Dude, take 5 minutes to I mean, the Lakers didn't do a champagne thing when they won last year. They threw bottles of water around. They had fun with it. Yeah. The Bucks didn't have to do a champagne room thing. I understand not wanting to do I get that. But they could have had fun with it. They could have enjoyed it. They could have taken 5 minutes to say this was cool, especially when they very clearly cared about winning. Yeah. It's disingenuous as shit to care about winning. And then when you win. Yeah.
That's crazy.
And, but I'll tell you one thing. It's not going anywhere. The NBA Cup's not going anywhere. If anything, they're going to add a second in-season tournament because the games are better. The players want the additional money. I don't think people think, this could be, it's not short-lived. It's not going anywhere. It's going to be expanded. I 100% believe you're going to see a second in-season tournament. In fact, I think that there could be something that comes about that with the NBA Cup and then perhaps a second NBA Cup in the spring, something that then has to do with the play-in tournament or who gets seeded where. That stuff is going to get expanded, especially when the league brings in 2 new teams in Seattle and Vegas, which we all know is happening very soon, and then eventually Mexico City. So,
people shat on the idea of it last year, and then especially with the Lakers winning, especially with LeBron James winning, of getting it. I thought it was necessary, man, because the rating of basketball had fell off like dramatically. Said to the point to where people like this season, people watch more of the WNBA this season than the people are watching the NBA right now, and that's crazy to me. But the shot, it's no slight to the ladies because that league is coming up, but not a lot of people watching basketball. Now, even me as a basketball fan, I didn't, Christmas Day, I tune in then, and then I'm in and out until the All-Star break. And then after the All-Star break, I'm watching it because that's when everybody's actually balling.
Can I ask you a question though? Can I ask you a question on that? I'm a diehard NBA fan, right? Like I watch NBA, like I will cop to being a diehard NBA fan. I am.
Right.
But I don't watch the NBA on League Pass because the product is garbage. And I don't watch the NBA on ESPN and TNT much. I watch the NBA on Stream East because I want to watch the game I bet on. Real talk, the game I bet on is usually, for whatever reason, the game that's not available to me. And so I watch on Stream East. And so when people say NBA ratings have tanked, I don't know that that's true. The NFL makes its product available to everybody. It's on CBS, it's on NBC, it's on Fox. It's on ESPN, but a lot of people have ESPN streaming. Yes, it's on Amazon Prime, but a lot of people have fucking Amazon Prime. The NFL makes its shit available to people. The NBA goes out of its way to use regional rights restrictions to make sure that people cannot watch its games. And so people turn to illegal means, and those things are not counted. And I'm not saying that the ratings aren't down, but when you have people around the world using international stream sites to watch these games, I'm just curious, are we actually getting an accurate picture of people who watch basketball, or are we sitting here and not pointing out that the NBA is failing to properly market its game? That's all I want to say on that. I think it's a failure.
Interesting points. Both of those interesting points, but I don't know. For me, I can just speak for me personally. I just don't enjoy because until it gets good, until they're actually playing each other. There's a meaning for it. I can't, regular ass fucking regular season game is just I can't hold it unless it's like saying a rivalry. If the Lakers are playing the Warriors, or if the Heat and the Knicks are playing, what I'm saying, something like that, something intense, I'll check it out then. You know what I'm saying? But until there's something to play for, I just think like the season's kind of it's a little bit long. You know what I mean? And there's not a lot. So like the point of them putting in the in-season tournament was the basket. You know what I'm saying? Like they gave an incentive like for something for them to play, and it made them play better. So we started to get these good ass games. So like I just want to see a good game. when there's nothing to play for, you see people just taking days off. Bo talked about it before, and all this rest stuff. It kind of turned me off. I used to be a huge NBA fan, because back when they treated every game, it was important. You know what I'm saying? If you lost game 54, was just as important, you know what I'm saying, as game 17. You know what I'm saying? So like, it's just crazy to me.
Right. Just talking about that, about the NBA. I mean, I grew up a Celtics fan. I love the Celtics, and they had those great rivalries with the Lakers. I mean, that was probably the best in the 80s. That was probably the best rivalry in all of sports. Was the Lakers and Celtics. And then as I got a little bit older, I started watching I became a Hawks fan. I always liked the Hawks because of TBS, and we watch them play every night. And I got to see Dominique Wilkins play every night. And Dominique Wilkins never set out. Mookie Blaylock, Spud Webb, good. They had good teams. I mean, never great teams, but good teams. But playing in the East back then, man, it was so much stuff. Reggie Miller, Starks, Jordan. I mean, on and on and on and on. Those great Pistons teams, the Celtics. I mean, it was so different back then. But I think that's also to the mentality, because I promise you this: if I was on that Bucks team and I had just won $500K, I would have been celebrating and knowing the fact that I can add another banter to my mantle, or trophy to my mantle, that says that they're the best, but guess what? We just whipped their tail. I guess that's just the competitor in me, to know that I bested the best in this tournament, whatever it is.
Yeah, exactly. I get you.
And I think that whole show of shit by the Bucks had a lot to do with Dame, because Dame wasn't there when they won a championship, and I know a lot of the role players weren't either. I know the Bucks roster has changed over a lot, but I think if I just think Dame was kind of making a big deal about whatever, and it's like, like, he's celebrated for hitting 2 deep not game winning, series winning 3-pointers. Like, let other people around you celebrate. Like, I do think that I don't love Dame's attitude since having been traded to Milwaukee. I think it's still kind of, I get it. You're away from your kids. That I understand, truly. I have a 3-year-old. I understand. But, like, he didn't get the trade he wanted, and I feel his game has tanked since then. And I think a lot of that shit has to do with his attitude. And, I don't know, man. Like, I am a certified Dame lover, by the way. I am a person who has always said, if you swap Steph Curry and Dame, that they would have similar-ish careers. I'm not saying that Dame is Steph Curry. He's not, but I'm just saying, if you put Dame around Draymond and give him Clay and all that stuff.
You'd have a couple championships.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have a couple championships. Speaking of championships, my team didn't win it.
That was a good one.
Came very short in this.
The segue was slick, though. The segue was slick, bro. That's what matters.
I'm working on it, bro. But the New York Yankees have making moves post Juan Soto, missing out on the Juan Soto's thing. Let me get you guys just your thoughts on that contract real quick. Juan Soto's on that huge
contract. I was Juan Soto.
$760 million.
How about that? Have $760 million guaranteed dollars. That is unreal. And that is so just like the New York Mets, because we've seen them in the past just I mean, they'd have been better off if they'd have just gotten a wheelbarrow, dumped a bunch of money into it, and started a bonfire. I mean, we've seen them over the years just burn through money and just worst decisions ever. And maybe it works out, maybe it doesn't. But for $750 million, you could have bought a whole new franchise.
Oh yeah,
I'm going to give you a hot take.
That is outrageous. And here's the thing: I like Soto as a player. I think he's a really. I mean, obviously he's a really good player, but he's a 280 hitter, and some of the stuff he does in the field is questionable, to say the least, at times. And I know some people are going to say, "Yeah, but that's in the field." Well, that's a part of it too. Well, he'll make up for it with his bat. Maybe he will. Maybe he won't.
Maybe he will. Maybe he won't.
When you're batting 280, what that means is that means at least 7 times out of 10 you were not successful. So, I mean, because baseball is the number one sport that is a true percentage sport.
Mm-hmm.
I just think that's the Yankees. Honestly, if I was the Yankees, I would feel a little relieved. I really would. I mean, not to say that I wouldn't want Juan Soto on my team, but you're freeing up cash. You go get Devin Williams. You sign Bellinger. And we were talking about
that right now.
But
Max Fried, 8-year deal,
and you go get Max Fried. I mean, you get a top quality left-handed arm. You get one of the top relievers in baseball, and then on top of that, you get a quality outfielder. Now, I'm not saying Bellinger is on Soto's level, but Bellinger's probably going to hit 30 and drive in 80 to 90. Now, compare that to Soto. How much different is that, and what is the bang for the buck? You know what I'm saying? I mean, you're paying compared to what you'd be paying Soto, you're paying pennies on the dollar.
Yeah.
For a guy that was didn't Bellinger won an MVP, didn't he?
Yeah.
I mean, he's a former MVP. I mean, he's an everyday player.
Rookie of the year winner.
I mean, my goodness. I mean, it's not like you replaced him with I don't know, Joe Schmo from AAA that you don't know if he can play.
My thing is like it sucked to see Soto leave. Like as a Yankees fan, it sucked because historically, I know how tight Brian Cashman is with the wallet over there. You know what I'm saying? The moves he made, dude, like you know what I'm saying, with the acquiring Devin Williams, like a lot of people ain't talking about, but getting Devin Williams is huge. That's gonna be huge for us. Max Fried's good, you know what I'm saying? He's young, an 8-year deal. He's obviously gonna do a few things for for time to come. And then this Cody Bellinger thing came through, bro. That's that had me all like excited that whole day. You know what I'm saying? So overall, now I look back on it, now Soto's gone. Hey, that's to me, that's the Mets problem now. Let them deal with that. But I think we got the more bang for the buck.
I've got a hot take for you here. I'm going to say two things.
What's up?
Number one, I agree with everything you guys just said about the Yankees moves post Juan Soto, and it pains me to say it as a Red Sox fan, but all of these moves have been incredibly smart. They've strengthened the rotation. They've strengthened the bullpen.
Yeah.
And they've replaced their, power hitter with a solid facsimile. Mm-hmm. You can't just find another Juan Soto. You're not going to be able to go replace that dude. But they found a guy who can do it.
There's somebody else on the table too. It might come through maybe this week, whatever. Pete Alonso. And talking about stealing him away from the Mets.
The Walrus.
If you do that, that'd be interesting. Here's the thing, though. All of that is good. It's all very good, and it's smart. Here's the one thing, and here's what the Mets are thinking, and I'm going to give you two parts of this. Number one, and I know what I'm going to hear, and I'm still going to say it, the Mets will win not anywhere near each other, but 3 World Series during Juan Soto's contract, and I'm going to tell you why. Number one, the man is 26 years old. Mm-hmm. We have not seen the best of this dude yet. Especially in a game like baseball, where as guys age, they become wiser, they know more about pitching, they calm down. We have not seen anywhere near the best of this dude. And he was one of the best hitters in the game when he won a World Series when he was 20. We haven't seen the best of this guy yet. And the Mets are going to invest every single dollar in making sure that he is prioritized in every way. Number 2, the 280 thing, I agree completely. But when you take out the fact that he had a garbage first 2 months of the season, he clubbed the ball for the last 6 months. And he's a slow starter traditionally. I don't worry about things like that. The playoffs, I understand all of those things. I get all of that. And if the man wasn't 26 years old, I think all of those things would be valid. But the Mets just purchased the best hitter in the game in his prime, which is not a thing that has ever basically been done. When Bryce Harper went to, when he went to Philadelphia, he was good, but not quite living up to what we thought about, the player. The Mets just purchased the best years of this dude's career. And I understand all of that. And I get that the last time that they tried to purchase a World Series, it didn't work. But you get age 28, which pretty much is everyone's statistically best season. You get 29, 30, 31, 32, which everyone can pump out incredible years. And in baseball, we know that, especially with the hitter, especially in a league where you can DH both sides, you guys aren't wrong about the outfield thing. I kind of, we're talking about a couple of runs this season. I just think he hits so much more, it doesn't matter. And, 20-90 is nice. 44 and 140 is a lot better. And I just think, I say this because if I was a bazillionaire, I would have paid any amount of money to sign Juan Soto. And I have been forever interested in where he goes. And I understand all the arguments against it. You can get 8 players, and it's not wrong. I just think when Babe Ruth is available in free agency, you pay the money to get him. And that's what I think.
Yeah. Right on. Hey, good stuff, man.
That's my only thing.
Yeah. Appreciate you, bro. Appreciate you guys jumping on, man. You guys got any shout outs before we get out of here? Any shout outs? Bo?
Hooley, just, appreciate you having me on. And I want to give a shout out to my Baker Hornets.
Okay,
down here in Mobile, Alabama. We won our first playoff game in football in 40 years.
Yeah, baby.
Let's go.
Victory.
And the irony
they were our rivals.
What's that?
I said they were our rivals. Like you're still a warrior, bro. I don't care. You can say that.
He's a traitor. What are we talking about?
Warrior,
Hey, believe me, I always have one eye on Davidson. I'm always keeping up with them and see how they're doing. But anyway, the significance of it is our head coach, Coach Juan Johnson. We played Hewitt-Trussville in the first round of the playoffs. And that's where Coach Johnson came from. It was his first year. And he played his old team, and we won a playoff game. Then we went to Enterprise. And I tell you what, they had a good-looking football team. And, man, they were really, really good. But anyway, a lot of good things going on. Our basketball team, we had our first Division I signee in I don't know how many years straight out of Baker. He's gonna go to South. I mean, we've had other players sign smaller school, but Cam's gonna go to South Alabama. And baseball, very young, but we're just gonna grind. We're gonna grind.
Let's go. Blunt Doc, you got anything you want to shout out?
Well, speaking of shout outs and speaking of Baker, how about Baker Mayfield? 60 touchdowns. Since the start of last season, the only quarterback in the NFL that's actually thrown 60 touchdowns since the start of last year. The man is underrated, has rebooted his career in Tampa Bay. It's completely going ignored, and it drives me insane because I love watching Tampa Bay. I watch them every week. And, shout out also to my wife because she started playing fantasy football for the first time this year. It was an auction draft, so she had to do research. She has thoroughly dominated the league from top to bottom. I got bounced in the first round of the playoffs. She's currently in the second round. She's 20-6 on the season because we play a second game where you play against the league median. So of the 13 games in our season, we played double it. She's 20-6. She's dominated everyone. She made her team name Makes Boys Cry, and she made her team logo a picture of my 3-year-old son crying. It's truly hilarious. And all of the 50-year-old men in my fantasy football league are very angry about it because she has Lamar Jackson, Jamar Chase, and Saquon Barkley. And she, I'm like, hey, you could have outbid her. You could have outbid for any of those players. So that's her season. So shout out to her because hopefully she wins this league and we can take home that money. I was trying to get to the championship so I could get the second place money and we could take it all and I could really piss everyone off, but I'm not good enough. So she'll take home that first place money though. So shout out.
That's what's up. All right, man. Well, I shout out both of you guys, man. Once again, thank you guys for joining me on this show. I haven't done this show by myself, I guess, like as the only Truth Be Told Sports podcast guy since the very first episode I did at my kitchen table in Robertsdale, Alabama. So this is huge. So I really appreciate you guys, jumping on this show for me, with me.
Anytime, man.
Glad to do it.
Oh, absolutely. Of course, I want to shout out my co-hosts, the guys that couldn't make it, Horace Jr., Hollow Point, White Mike. They're out doing family things. It's Christmas time, people. Merry Christmas to everybody, or happy holidays, or whatever you choose to do. That to you guys, this holiday season. As always, make sure you subscribe to us on YouTube and on TikTok at Truth Be Told Sports Podcast. Follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Truth Be Told Sports Podcast. Man, I'm not gonna see you guys till after Christmas, so come back next week. We have a pretty good show the year in review. We got first ever time attempt to do it, so just come back. You guys are more than welcome to us, and you guys the invite also to come back and be on the show, and we'll talk about the dope shit that happened in 2024 in sports. But that's it. So I don't have anything. Thank you guys for tuning in. Come back and we'll see us again. Rest in peace, Kobe. Right here.